Alright, this shot you're looking at right now is being filmed on my Sony FX30, which has been my main camera for around 2 years now, and the shot itself is nothing crazy complicated. There's just a key light off to one side, there's a couple of desk lamps in the background as practicals, and there's obviously the window behind me, but that's about it. But the thing is, I can get almost the exact same shot on my Sony a6400, which used to be my main camera a while back, and has now moved over to being my backup B cam. And that's a camera that's around 6 years old at this point, I think. But even then, I genuinely think if you know what you're doing, the image from it holds up more than well enough today, even when you put it up against some much newer and more expensive cameras. But just to take it one step further, I can also get almost the exact same shot on my iPhone 15 Pro, which is 2 years old, and it doesn't have any of the bells and whistles from the 16 or the 17 Pro. But again, when I know what I'm doing, it holds up just fine. And to go back to the FX30, even though it's technically the best out of all of these cameras spec-wise, this shot can also look like absolute garbage if I didn't set it up properly in the first place, but that wouldn't be the camera's fault. And the point I'm trying to make is that over the next few days or few weeks or few months, you're probably going to see your favorite creators making videos about all sorts of gear that's being announced or released, but I kind of feel like this needs to be said for some people out there. As exciting and as shiny as all of these new pieces of gear look, the truth is you don't actually need to buy any of them. Nobody is going to come over to your house and force you to get anything that you don't want to get. And a piece of advice that I try to give people around this same time every year is before you go out and spend a bunch of money on the new thing with the longest and the most complicated spec sheet, maybe sit down and really think about if anything on that spec sheet is actually something that you need. Are any of the new features and bells and whistles actually going to do anything for you that your current gear doesn't do right now? And if the answer is yes, then by all means, go ahead and look into them and think about whether or not it's something you want to get. But if the answer is no, then maybe save yourself some money and wait until something drops that's actually going to do that for you. I feel like a lot of people have subconsciously adopted this mindset that when a new model of something comes out, they have to get it just to be able to say that they've got the latest one. But in reality, a huge percent of them never even touch or even find out about any of the new features and improvements in that new piece of gear because that's not what they're getting it for. They're getting it because they saw some videos and some posts on socials from people they follow talking about how great this new thing is and how it's totally different from last year's model and how if you don't get it, you're going to be left behind and you're going to miss out on a totally different experience. And you're going to come across a lot of pieces of content with overly sensationalized titles like, is this camera the FX3 Killer? The new iPhone is an absolute game changer and things will never be the same. Oh, but it's got B-RAW, it's got OpenGate, it's got a viewfinder. Okay, how about you be better at lighting? And what are you, fucking Rock Lee? Why do you want to open the gate so much? And about it having a viewfinder, yeah, that's really cool, but I got 2 viewfinders right here. I think I'm good. But I got no skin in the game. I got no embargo videos ready to drop. I don't have brands holding me at gunpoint, so I'm free to tell you this. 98% of all that is just noise. And I made a video ages ago exactly about how new gear releases feel more and more boring nowadays and how it's very rare to see something new being introduced that's actually enough of an innovation to be interesting and not just another super incremental minor upgrade that's going to cost you like $400 extra. And that little example at the start of the video was meant to show that if you've bought a camera in the past like 5 or 6 years, probably even more than that, chances are the tech in it still holds up more than well enough to let you create some great looking stuff. And if you're not managing to do that, 9 out of 10 times, it's not the camera's fault. And buying the brand new one that shoots at 7K at 83.5 frames per second and has the latest mega sharp processor is more than likely not going to help you. And there's a bunch of other stuff that you can learn or just get better at that would help you a lot more. But just to be clear, I said that 98% of all that stuff is going to be BS, but I want to be fair. There is still the 2% of cases where something being released will actually have new features that you might genuinely benefit from. So I think it's totally a good idea to watch stuff about new gear that's coming out, if nothing else, just to stay in the loop with what's out there in case something useful comes out. But again, this video is for those of you that get overly excited by this sort sort of stuff and are absolutely ready to drop a bag on a new piece of gear that's going to have a bunch of new features that don't really matter at all, you won't even look at, and you're just going to keep using it the exact same way that you were using the same thing from 4 years ago because it was still doing a perfectly good job at what you need it for. And now some of you might be thinking, okay, George, then why did you get the FX30? Why did you upgrade from the A6400? Didn't you say the A6400 still holds up? And yeah, I did. And I didn't upgrade from it because it was a bad camera, or because it was starting to not look good, or because the image from it was starting to show its age. I've made a lot of stuff with it in the past that I would consider very decent looking even now, but like I said, I sat down and I figured out that the FX30 did things for my workflow that the A6400 didn't do, like the better battery without external power, the better ergonomics, the better low light performance, the internal fan for better cooling, the option to import my own LUTs, the full-size HDMI, and just a bunch of other little quality of life improvements that made working with it more convenient than working with the A6400. But that's not to say that if I had to bring in the FX30 for repair tomorrow or something, I couldn't keep on doing the work that I need to with my A6400 and my iPhone 15 Pro until the FX30 comes back, because I absolutely could. So yeah, what I'm trying to say is just exercise some critical thinking and be reasonable with your money, and don't automatically assume that something is going to do everything you've ever needed because it's new and because your favorite creator called it a game changer. Buy stuff if you actually need it, and don't if you don't. But I think that's going to be it from me, and now I'm going to go and buy the new iPhone because it's orange and it looks cool.